Hopefully, I didn't hit that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another live stream at HawkeyeRides. I'm Anthony,
I'm Isa.
and we're going to be bringing you some of the updates. That's what we always start. And thank everybody from last week for the live stream. It was really awesome. We had a lot of Q&A going on. It was actually the longest live stream we ever had. We're going to be adding the memberships very soon. I'm about 50% done, which will entail things like shorts that's exclusively to members, bloopers, cuts that shouldn't be in the video, live streams that will be at the dealerships or whenever I'm getting the vehicle. Also, the community tab that will be exclusive to the membership page, which memberships will have two different packages right now is what we're working with. And this week we went to Acura, we went to Cadillac, Buick, Subaru. There's a ton of different vehicles that we've done, but we're going to be bringing the Integra Type S, the new MDX Type S. We got to do two of those the same day, which was awesome. It was road work and it was also raining, but even with conditions, we were still able to show pretty decent performance with everything. Hi from UAE. Oh, hey Omar, Assalamu alaikum. And Issa, unfortunately, was sick most of the week, so he couldn't come to the dealerships, which would have been awesome because the Type S, it's a manual. I don't think he's driven a manual before, so it would have been a nice little change up. And we're also looking for a vehicle for Issa. So in the comments, any type of vehicles you guys think would be cool for him, because he's looking at Audis, he's looking at BMWs. I told him I would give him my personal vehicle, but I guess it's not good enough.
Yeah. That's not it.
Yeah, so anybody with questions, we got the answer, so we'll dive in as soon as we start getting some on the forums. Otherwise, this week we're going to Infinity. We're going to be doing the QX80 again. Can you please compare all the third row SUVs? So are you looking for luxury SUVs, Omar, or are you looking for like more premium and performance SUVs? We're also going back to Audi this week, and I guess we'll just dive into, oh, here we go, non-luxury. Okay, so if you're comparing against like Honda, Toyota, Mazda, Subaru, all these Hyundai, Kia, what exactly are you looking for? Is it more like just family with good leg space for the third row, plus amenities and some capabilities for maybe like going camping and things like that, or just strictly for a road car and obviously family use? Well, I'll just dive into different options that you have. So if you go Honda, oh, here we go, luxury and space. Okay, so if you're looking for luxury and space, the Volkswagen Atlas has the most space for the third row in the class, unless you start going into a Grand Highlander, but then it's a little bit larger. So if you're looking kind of to not get into the larger third row SUVs, I would say that one or the Honda Pilot is kind of the best for third row. And then for actual interior specs, I feel you're going to have a little bit more with the Atlas with technology. Stereo wise, both of them are pretty comparable. And for capabilities of doing everything for daily use, they're both really good. I would lean more towards the Honda because of the V6 opposed to the Turbo 4, but the Turbo 4 does have a lot of like torque. So ultimately, whenever you're mashing on the gas from light to light, you will kind of go back a little bit more so. So it has a little bit more of an exciting drive to it, where Honda, it's good, and it's like, I mean, it's off the Odyssey more or less. So you have that capabilities for family, but I have seen some people get out of the Honda Pilot because they said it's a little boring and bland. But in the same perspective, if you're looking for something that will last long, I usually go that route. I do like Kia. The Telluride is awesome. Interior wise is amazing too. They do a great job with more luxury and upscale materials. But realistically, if you're wanting more of a premium interior, I would say to go to Mazda, and you can get the inline six now. So I think that's another key thing. Plus, the PHEV is one of the best in class. I mean, you get great MPGs. Third row, though, is going to suffer. It's going to be very tight for anyone that's basically over 5'10". So, how's your search going for cars, Issa?
Very, very. I mean, I found the car. I'm probably gonna go look at it next week. It's at an older Audi, but yeah, it looks pretty good. One owner,
Okay.
10,000 miles.
Yeah. I mean, service is going to be a little expensive, but hey, if he feels he can work it and do it, more power to him. A little bit slower with the Q&As today. I guess people haven't had their coffee yet. Another thing that we have been asking for the past couple of weeks is to make sure that the timing is good and the date. So if you guys want to change the date and time, we're fine with that. Just let us know. We prefer the weekend, so that way everybody's off and they can actually enjoy the live stream, so we can do a good Q&A similar to last week. And then I guess we'll touch some bases on automotive news. As everyone knows, Nissan Infiniti has been having some ups and downs, but there is a change. We now have the new chairman from Jeep is going to be taking over, and Chrysler looks like maybe they're going to get out of the woods. Who knows? They are also anticipating to try to keep the Hemi V8, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Yes, Jeep is struggling. The whole line is struggling, actually, which it's realistically, I think what's happened is they have so many vehicles, and all of them, when you're putting V8s that drink a lot of fuel, even in Jeep, they have a V8, the 392. They don't do it anymore. But with that being said, it's not reaching the EPA for the government, in which they're paying a lot of different fees and fines because their MPGs is way off. That being said, when you have a car that's literally in every single trim, so you have, like, for instance, Alfa Romeo, a Maserati, and a Chrysler or a Dodge, and they're all basically using something very similar and getting crazy 0 to 60 numbers. It's just too many of the same vehicle, more or less, just badged differently. They need to really change it up. I like the new 4Runner pricing. Oh my God, I don't like the new pricing. All these vehicles are going crazy with price. Even we're getting ready to do the new Buzz, and that's like a 70 grand electric car. I think that's crazy. And this year coming, we may lose that $7,500 tax credit, which may not even go to Volkswagen. It just depends on the person that's buying it and if that's part of the package. So I think it's just going to increase more and more. Jaguar
is struggling.
Yeah, Jaguar is
going electric.
Yeah. And then I saw yesterday on a forum, the new Jaguar concept looks very similar. Almost, I got to check the full dimensions. I just read through it briefly, but it has a lot of dimensions similar in the length to a Range Rover, which just shows that they're kind of going the wrong direction. I like the F-Pace. I think it's an awesome vehicle. The SVR, I actually showed Issa one in the British Racing Green, which this was dirty. When it's clean, it looks awesome, but when it's dirty, it doesn't really look that good. That's just my perspective on that. But awesome vehicle. The interior, I think Jaguar does a great job, but unfortunately now going electric, I think they're going the wrong direction. 550, but they're so hard to find. Yeah, I haven't. The problem with the new Lexus GX is a lot of the dealerships, because they're selling them so much, they're actually putting them in the back of the dealership and telling people they don't have them. So what you may want to do, if you are looking at one, go to your local Lexus dealer. I'm sure you could probably find a couple in the area, and just walk around the dealership. Try to act like a worker or something and go towards the service area in the back so you can see if there's any vehicles. And then if you see numbers, take a picture of the number and ask the sales rep, then, is this vehicle for sale? Because like I said, they're kind of hiding them in the back. Even when I go to review them, I find none. And then all of a sudden the team comes to me, you didn't do the new GX again? I'm like, oh, I didn't know you had a 25. And they're like, yeah, they're right here. I mean, a 24. And And I'm like, where are they? And they're literally in the back in the service department. Do you recommend a maintenance package on a Range Rover? Does maintenance package pay for everything? Maintenance package only pays for your basic services. So if you are considering a Range Rover, I don't know if I would recommend the maintenance package, because sometimes it could be cheaper that you do your own maintenance opposed to paying it up front. Because what I have found with our personal Infinity is we pay like $500-$600 for our maintenance package, which is extremely inexpensive, but it's even cheaper than that. I ended up saving $250 canceling the maintenance package. For Porsche, you may want to, if it includes things like your brakes and your rotors. If it doesn't include those things, check the pricing to see what it is, because usually they're about $25 to $3,000 or $5,000 now. They've increased the price a lot on these packages for maintenance. And if it includes a substantial amount of service, then yes. For Audi, I would do Audi Care if you can still get it for about $1,500. I have got wind or word that it's got up to about $2,500, and at that price, it's cheaper to do the maintenance yourself. So when you start going into like Range Rover and Porsche, it can be something that may or may not be expensive. That's why I would just call the dealership, ask for the service, and then ask how much the services are. Tally them up. And then also when you go in there, ask them, how much is the maintenance package if I buy this vehicle? What do you think about Range Rover?
It's all right. I mean, it's just like more of a luxury trim of Jaguar. So I don't really like. I like Range Rover, but I just feel that like with Jaguar going electric, I think it's gonna hurt the brand a lot.
What's your favorite Porsche, Issa?
Probably not. It's a more expensive Porsche.
Yeah. So what is it?
918.
918. Okay. Well, with Porsche, we did do some quick research yesterday, and we just saw, which I'm sure some of you have already noticed, that
GTD,
is faster than
the GT3 RS.
yes, which is crazy. But then the price is also crazy for that too. The Discovery, I like the bigger Discovery. The Discovery Sport it's okay. I think it's a good quick vehicle to get in and out. Thoughts on the Bronco? They were not coming before, but now. Yes. So Broncos, they've had some interesting issues that have came with the headliners leaking, engine problems. They've had some issues with the first, I would say, batch that came out, more or less. Ultimately, they have been fixing a lot of them. They are getting a lot more on the dealership, so you can score a good deal. I think they're cool, but I've also seen where Ford is doing some interesting things. Like they've sued a YouTuber that decided to change his Bronco to make it look more retro. So he had Ford sent him a letter to, I guess, change it back, or I really don't know the full details on it. But ultimately, I like the Bronco. I would say pricing though is a little expensive for what it is, because it's a lot of hard material in the interior, and it does have a lot of capabilities, but because they've had so many issues at the beginning, I would personally hold off another year just to see if they've worked out all the kinks. I do like the Defender. The Defender, I feel just the interior, some people don't like it as much. It's kind of an outside looking vehicle, which means the outside looks awesome, but the inside is not the best in some people's eyes. What does the CPO warranty on any vehicle, even if it's Range Rover, covers every single thing? So any certified pre-owned warranty for a vehicle will cover every single thing that breaks on it to the amount of miles or years. But then in the higher end vehicles, they typically like you to record a video or show them. So what I have had with my personal Infiniti QX60 is we've had a lot of issues with the massage seats. They just fixed it the second or third time with a new mechanism in which it's still broken. So we're going back next week to do that. And I'm also going to be doing a review on the 2 years of ownership and what we have went through with this type of vehicle. Which is a better CPO warranty or new car or new vehicle warranty? I mean, if you buy it new, you're getting you can add the CPO warranty as well to the vehicle. Typically, when you buy a new, the reason why I like to go that route is you have done all the maintenance, you know what you've done to the vehicle. When you buy it pre-owned after so many miles, usually I recommend maybe 32 to 35,000 miles max, and try not to go much more than like 3.5 to 4 years old on the vehicle. That way you can fix problems that have or that could be coming ultimately. But going back to the question, I would say new car warranty is good and CPO. I mean, if you're buying it new, you have the 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, depending on what vehicle you go. CPO typically only adds another year to that max. Sometimes they'll add 2 or 3 years. I don't recommend doing those warranties that are not through the company, though, because ultimately sometimes they don't cover stuff. Like I just talked to Maserati this week, and they were telling me that somebody had an aftermarket warranty that goes to like, I don't know, 100 and some thousand miles. They needed a transmission, which is very rare because the ZF transmission is pretty solid. And he said they would not allow it, that they only let them source a used one. So just be cautious with what you're getting with warranty. Try to stick with the automotive industry when you're doing those. What do you think? A Cayenne Turbo?
Cayenne Turbo.
They're not rare.
I mean, they're not rare, but they're pretty
Yeah.
fast.
They're pretty fast. I mean,
They're pretty expensive though too. At
Yeah.
the same time,
they've went up a lot.
yeah, Porsche's skyrocketed in value. I think they're getting a little overpriced.
GTS, I like the GTS. I think it sounds more sporty, but the Turbo is the way to go if you're looking to spend the money.
Turbo is the better trim. than GTS.
I know.
Why would you want to go
I
for
just said
GTS?
that.
Yeah, but GTS does not sound better.
It just sounds sportier to me. Turbo sounds like a Mazda because they stress turbo, you know. But ultimately, I would say if you're looking at a Cayenne, try to get a Cayenne S, so that way you can get some good resale value to the vehicle. If you can go up to the GTS, it's an awesome vehicle. The exhaust sounds a little bit more throaty than the turbo, but the turbo is going to be quicker.
No, it does not.
Okay, I mean,
Turbo sounds better than the GTS.
everybody has their own opinion. And then they got the bronze wheels too on the turbos. So if you want to go that route, you could look a little bit more flashy. No, I don't think they. So the reason why Porsche holds its value is they don't advertise deals. When you go to the dealership, they'll make you a deal, but they're not going to have anything like on TV where it says lease this for $2 or whatever. They just don't do that. So whenever you go to Porsche, just try to maybe talk to a sales manager so that way you can see their incentives and deals that they give, because it's usually kind of behind the scenes. So that's again why they hold their value. Range Rover, they do have specials right now. I didn't catch their specials. Audi is going through their season in specials right now. BMW is as well. And usually with those, you can get in your maintenance for at least 2 to 4 years pretty much for free. So you wouldn't have to worry about paying for any extra upkeep in the vehicle. SQ8 is an awesome vehicle.
Yeah, SQ8's nice.
Yeah, we like the SQ8. I think it's a great vehicle. It's actually funny. Yesterday, I saw a video on a BMW X5M competition. A person bought a brand new $140,000 in Europe, and he has had nothing but problems with the vehicle. He was actually showing he doesn't have I don't think he has 1,000 miles or 2,000 miles on it, and the leather is already coming apart. The paint is chipping off in different areas. The speakers, he said, if you turn it all the way up when you're driving, it sounds like it's at 20%. And ultimately, BMW corporate and the dealerships are not doing anything to help him, which I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But like I said prior, when you start getting higher end vehicles, they start getting a little bit more tough with fixing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like American cars.
The C8.
Yeah, I think I don't like American cars except the Escalade and Mustang. Yeah, I was trying to do the Escalade V this week, but they did not have it. It showed online they had it. I went there and I was like, man, they said it's going to be coming, and I said I see that. So hopefully we'll be bringing that to the channel very soon. I like Ford. I think they do a pretty decent job with their vehicles. I mean,
Very corporate.
yeah, that's the main thing I don't like about Ford. There's a lot of corporate stuff going on. Same thing with GM. They do that as well, specifically when you're getting into like Cadillac. Uh, so the way Ford has their vehicles, they have to price things higher. So the question is, do you like, or do you? I'm assuming, do you think the Expedition is overpriced? So when you're thinking about the Expedition opposed to the Navigator or any of Lincoln, you start looking at like a $10,000-$20,000 difference in price. So because they have priced Lincoln to more of the $70,000 to $100,000 pricing, which I think is crazy, but it's also to compete with Cadillac and to put them on that luxury trim level. That's why Ford is also expensive. The Range Rover SV and SVR,
Yeah.
yeah, nice vehicles. A
We
lot of
saw one.
performance.
We saw one in London.
Yeah.
It was like beige looking color. Very weird looking spec.
Yeah, when we were in England, we were scoping out different vehicles to hopefully start bringing some vehicles from overseas onto the channel as well, which we're going to start doing that hopefully in a few months or so. We're still tying up things with the membership on the channel and a few other things we're fixing up. You can't get ambient lighting in there and heads up display because there's lots of cars under that you can get. Did you guys see lots of Range Rovers in London? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very
It was
common
a-
car.
it was a
In
common
England,
car.
Range Rovers are very common.
Bentleys are too.
Well, we also were in a more expensive neighborhood.
Yeah, but there's Bentleys everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot. Porsche, we saw a lot of Volvos, which I was kind
Yeah.
of shocked. I didn't think
Audis. Yeah.
Audis, kind of. I would say
We saw BMWs.
the smaller Audis, like really small, like A3s. I think I didn't see any RS4s, which I was really hoping to see one of those.
I saw one.
Oh,
Gray
you
one.
did? Yeah,
Yeah.
because we don't get it in North America. BMWs,
There
it was a
lot
ton.
of BMWs.
Yeah, BMWs were like,
They had like every
it
single
looked like a
one.
dealership everywhere you went. But they weren't newer BMWs.
I mean, they had a lot of M4s and M3s.
Yeah, but still not newer ones.
Yeah.
I did see some X7s too, which I thought, wow. Mercedes, they did have a lot of Mercedes. They had more, I would say, Land Rovers than Mercedes, though. I saw a lot of the Discovery Sport. And yeah, the Discovery Sport and the Range Rover we saw the most, mixed with BMW. Porsche, we did see a few of those. It wasn't like as many as I would anticipate for Europe, but overall they had a lot of variety.
They had a lot of older Porsches.
Yeah. I don't know. You think Range Rover is the king for London?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Audis.
Yeah.
They had a lot of Audis. Older Audis.
I mean, we were in an Audi.
Yeah, we were in an older Audi a few times.
Yeah.
People said they are the best. Range Rovers, I mean, they're good. I think if you're looking to buy certain vehicles and you're in certain areas, it doesn't make sense. It's more of like a status quota. It's like a G-Wagon, for instance. You can't use half of that stuff here in North America. So there's not a lot of point to owning it, but I mean, to each its own. I'm not saying don't buy them. They are awesome vehicles. It just kind of sucks that you buy it. It's like you're buying a McLaren, for instance, and never taking it on the track. It's great that you can do that, but you should also try to use the vehicle for what it's worth here and there. So that way you can actually really feel the engineering of the vehicle. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Range Rover, we didn't see that many. Did we see a lot of Tesla? We didn't see that many Teslas
wasn't
there.
any.
There was, yeah. I
There
didn't
was a
see.
few Model 3s. But
Yeah.
all the Teslas that were there were old.
Yeah.
Really old.
What? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a lot of Renaults.
Yeah, they had a lot of Renaults.
Yeah.
They were in a Renault.
Yeah.
It was a great one.
Yeah. It was surprisingly the Renault. They bought it for like a few £100,
Yeah, they bought it for 400 pounds.
and the darn thing like drove like a champ. I drove it personally, and I was like, "Wow, this is a really good car. Air conditioned work." I was like, "Man, you can't get that in North America." I mean, I'm not saying it's a good car. I'm just saying like I was shocked that you could get something that inexpensive and everything worked.
Yeah, 400 pounds.
Now there was something like some of the windows didn't roll down, but ultimately, like if you solder the wires back, it works. Um, but all the things you would need work. Yeah,
Tesla's never really had
yeah. Tesla's
quality.
quality. We were actually joking about it yesterday. Tesla saying what we felt were the looks of Tesla. They just, I don't know. Some people like them, some people don't. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you're for an electric car, God bless you. If you're not, hey, same thing. I think people like certain cars because of getting into that segment. So, for instance, when you get like a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic, it's a different type of level in a person's life. And once you start getting into more of a luxury vehicle, you start not necessarily getting a status quota, but it also makes you feel good about what you're driving. That's why when people drive things like a Porsche, a BMW, Infinity, Lexus, like they feel a little bit better. I'm not saying people that have Toyotas don't. I'm just saying people that usually drive a Toyota opposed to that. I don't know. It's just something about having an expensive vehicle that feels awesome. When you have something that's not expensive, you start appreciating other things like, wow, I'm getting great MPGs. This is a really reliable car, things like that. Opposed to once you start getting into a different level, you start saying, wow, the performance of this is awesome. I didn't know. Whoa, you could do this. When you're on the interstate, you could floor it and it goes just like it went from 0 to 60. So there's a difference in the drive. I love the e-tron. E-tron is nice. They have I just don't like the range that electric vehicles are doing, and they're not doing anything innovative in the sense of getting quicker charges. It's always the same thing with the quick charge. It's always the 20 to 80%, and then when you go to 100%, it takes forever. And like I recently bought a new cell phone maybe a couple of years ago, and I've already lost battery life in that, where my old cell phone never had an issue with battery life. So I'm just, throwing these things out. This is what happens when you use things a little bit more and when you charge it a little bit more frequently. I don't know. What would you say? Do you recommend it?
I wouldn't recommend a Taycan. I just feel like the trim levels, all of them being the same.
Buy an X5 in your opinion lineup, M40 or X5M competition, which is better? Well, Adam, I would say for the X5, if you're wanting to get the full performance, I would recommend the X5M competition, but it does drive a little bit more firm. Oh, you mean the whole entire range of the X5? Do you mean the whole range on the X5 or like X5? Okay. So if you're looking to get performance, but you still want to be kind of economical and it's more of a smooth drive, the X5, you could go, I would even suggest maybe the 50E, which is a plug-in hybrid. It has a lot of power to it and great vehicle. If you go to the M50, which is the new variant of the X5, so X40 or X60, so the X40 is going to be not as performance driven. When you go X60, it's more or less a detuned M engine. So it's an awesome deal. That's why I would say I would go that route to the M60 instead of the M40, because when you're going to I mean, not M40, when you're going into the X40, you're getting the all wheel drive, but you're not getting the full round performance. And when you go M60, you're getting the performance, you're also getting a soft interior opposed to an M competition. So the M60 actually holds its value relatively well they are starting to get a lot on the lot, which is kind of surprising because the past few years that I was reviewing, I hardly ever saw any. So that is going to be questioned. I'm thinking in the next couple of years to see if it's going to start hurting the resale value because before there weren't on the lot. So we have a family member that has the M50, which is the last year before the M60, and he still has actual value to it. I think his is still worth in the 50s or maybe a little bit higher, which is actually really good. Good morning, Sean.
Oh,
Model. But I would recommend the M60 if I was going that route. It's going to cost, I would say, probably about 20 grand more. See if you can get a pre-owned one because that's what he did, and he ended up getting it for like 66,000. And the MSRP on those are typically around 100,000 with some features. Whereas when you go into the X40, it's not going to be as expensive, and they don't hold their value as much. What exactly model of Audi? What Audi are you leaning towards, Cisa?
S8 or RS7.
So you want an RS7 or an S8?
Yeah.
But it's an older model.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Anthony and Issa. By the way, I am a... Huh. That's awesome. I love chalk. What?
Something with color.
Oh, okay. Which one was he talking about? The Porsche?
Yeah.
Yeah, Porsche.
Alex had a Macan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he had the Macan S, or Turbo S. Is it Turbo S? I think it's just
Turbo.
S, right? I don't know.
Turbo.
Can't remember. He had one of the not older one. I think it was a 2019 model. He traded it for his X5, X50. Performance was good. I just feel like when you're at the Macan, I used to drive the GTS quite a bit because they were trying to push me into it from a Maserati, and you just hit higher RPMs really quick. I am sitting watching you. Moment. Could buy my car from you and bring it here. Yeah. Well, we are looking into bringing in people to do financing. So hopefully it's something. I don't know if we could do anything with Dubai, but I am trying to link up with a few different companies and people to network so that way it can help with purchasing vehicles because we obviously have a lot of information on vehicles, but in the same aspect, we don't really sell them. We like some more than others, but we're going to be straightforward because we're not non-biased. So that's why I think the best thing is to kind of help and link people up with different ways they can get their vehicles. Yeah, I will definitely keep you guys informed as soon as I get the links. We did start talking to some different personal contacts, so that way we can get more of that personal relationship. So it does help with financing anybody's vehicles. E-hybrids are good for the environment. Yeah, e-hybrids are, well, I mean, anything with batteries is, it's skeptical there, but what is your opinion between a 350 Lexus and an X5? So it's a little bit difference between the two vehicles. The 350, I like it. I kind of recommended. I recommended it to another subscriber. His name's Zach to get the Lexus RX 350. Great value in vehicle. You mentioned that the channel memberships are coming soon. Would you be around next month? I'm hoping it should be by the end of this month because I should be finishing it up this week, and then it has to go through a YouTube check thing, in which once it does, then we'll launch it, and then whenever people get into the packages, it'll just go from the month to month. But we have some really cool things with it because we're going to only do the shorts there. We're going to do some live streaming at dealerships so you guys can see us actually at the dealership. We're going to be doing video access before they come out. So usually when we record videos, we typically have them, I call it like inventory. So I have like a few weeks of inventory. So you guys will be able to see those cool cars that I've already reviewed. That's why sometimes when people ask what vehicle's coming out, I actually may not know what vehicle's coming out today or tomorrow because we've already posted it maybe a week or so in advance. Now we do alter that throughout the week depending on what vehicles we get. Like we said at the beginning, we got the new Integra Type S and the MDX, so we need to configure that. We also got a Jeep Grand Cherokee L and the new RAM, which we had it pretty specced up so it had TVs on the side. So we have to reconfigure some of the videos so that way we can bring them to the channel. But ultimately, the members will have access to some of those videos before, in which it could be maybe days, could be weeks before that actually goes onto the channel. The Panamera, I like it. I think it's awesome that it's a vehicle you can tow with. As soon as I was researching the full specs on it, I was like, wow, you can. It's an SUV, but it's a car. That's amazing. Because usually when you get hatchbacks, you don't think about all around usage. And we used to own a boat, so that's why I like. And usually I talk about towing because when you have something that can tow, it does become easier. We used our tow hitch when we went up north to Pennsylvania for a week. We bought one of those little wagon things, and it made the interior awesome because we just put all of our bags there. Unfortunately, we didn't have waterproof bags, and we went through a lot of rain, so we did lose some of our expensive stuff. I would recommend getting waterproof bags or something other than a tarp because the tarp did not work. Yeah, I can tell. I know. That was the first thing when I was reviewing it. I told the dealership, I said, I don't know why you guys don't tell people this because wagons are pretty hot right now. And it's an alternative to an SUV. It drives better, the engagement's better. I mean, it's one of those fun type of vehicles.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Infinity is struggling right now, which unfortunately I blame the auto industry when a company is struggling. And the reason why I say that is you can do a lot better in engineering instead of giving CVT transmissions like they did for years with the Pathfinder, with the QX60, and even with the QX50. Then they're dropping their sedans. I mean, you want to bring people to the brand, but you're not updating the interior. They still have the 2 screens in the Q50, and now ultimately there's no more Q50. I get it. Maybe people are not buying sedans that much, but you need to have a variety and you need to keep up with times and technology as well as luxury and performance because that's the segment that you're in. I mean, the QX80 is an awesome vehicle. The new one has increased, and even I talked to I'm kind of almost personal friends with some Infinity workers there, with the management and some of the team, and we're just like, when you get the vehicle, it's worth what you're getting. It's just the price increase is hard to swallow because they were never over 100,000. They would maybe touch 100,000. Wagons are awesome. I mean, like I said, it's one of those vehicles that you feel the performance. You don't have all that. It's smooth. It's I like them.
Sucks that we don't have a lot.
Yeah.
In, America.
Yeah.
More Europe.
Yeah. And because we don't have that many in North America, it makes it even more cool because when people see, oh my God, you got a wagon, all of a sudden you have a conversation. Do you guys recommend? Yeah, I mean, I would. The only thing, if you're going into Range Rover, they have done quite a bit of updates with the Pivi Pro, so you may want to get a newer one if you're looking pre-owned because the updates are significant. There's a lot of glitch still with the Pivi Pro, but it's a little bit more seamless, and they've also integrated screens, which you have to pay for screens when you go into the older models of the Velar. But the styling of them are awesome. I mean, if I could go back and pick up, I think it was a 2020 model, I would get the SV. That thing was amazing. It had a lot of power, and when you put it into sport mode, it drops the suspension significantly, so it feels like a little sports car, and it's not as long as a Range Rover. It just, I don't know. I really enjoyed that particular trim, but they discontinued it, unfortunately. And to get one used, you're probably looking at something with 40, 50,000 miles, which, like I said before, I don't recommend much more over 35,000 miles. And that being said, it's going on 5 years old. There's soft interiors for Range Rover, but the issue that we have found with older Range Rovers is
maintenance.
No, the interior.
Oh, interior. Yeah, they
Issa found out from the best sources. You just let us hear.
Dealerships.
Yeah. We had, at the beginning of the channel, we were working with a lot of mom and pop dealerships in which we would do things on the side for them. So some of them would let us drive literally every vehicle. I mean, I can drive every vehicle on the lot, but when you're talking pre-owned dealership that's a mom and pop, it's not usually, normal. So we got to see some really interesting things with the Range Rover interior, which things were falling apart.
Yeah, there's
Explain it.
nothing wrong with the interior. It is very nice. The only problem is the way people take care of them. When we went to this used car dealership that we
Can't
used
say
to
any names. We
do
don't work with them
reviews,
anymore.
the car it smelled like complete smoke. Everything was sticky. The buttons were torn. The leather was torn. Everything was ripping apart, and the car was it was struggling to start.
The refrigerator was broken. The armrests were broken. There was a lot. And then even with some of the Audis, they had some high-end Audis, which be careful if you're buying a pre-owned Audi with some miles, because unfortunately some people dog them. And that's what happened with that. We had, I think it was an RS7, wasn't it, that we were
It was a
riving up?
RS7.
Yeah, we were riving it up. The check engine light popped, and ultimately it sounded like a lawnmower. So I think half the engine wasn't working. Yeah, a lot of the vehicles almost all the vehicles now are using real wood in the interior, so not just Range Rover. Even when you go into a higher end Infinity now, they actually use wood. Now, the wood that they use is not like, it's still kind of, in a sense, like fake wood, I would say, because they put the wood together. I watched this wood video and how they do it, and Cadillac was one of them that was really stressing how they get the woods. So they do get the wood from wherever they say they're getting it, but it's so thin that it's almost like fake wood. And then they have to attach it to another piece, They do this ultimately so it's lighter weight, because the more weight you have to start, you're going to lose in performance, or you're going to have to do something with to make the vehicle move better, because you're not just adding that, but you're also adding technology. You're also adding screens. There's a lot of things that you're adding that adds weight. So that's why they do this. The two screens, yeah, I mean, I like how it's more cleaned up. I wish that Range Rover had some more buttons, but I think the design kind of goes well for what they're working with. It's a little bit more cleaned up. I would say the gauge cluster is kind of the area where I feel they could have entertained a little bit better. I like what Maserati did with their gauge cluster. They actually move it up a little bit more so. So for taller people, and I get it, everybody's not 6'3", but even if you're in like the 5'10", 5'8", you have to move your steering wheel up, because the way they have these digital screens, they don't really pivot it or do anything, but like Maserati now moved it up a few inches, so therefore you can actually see it. So I wish a lot of the auto industry was doing this as well. I mean, Subaru is the best for dogs.
Yeah, but they have that package now.
Yeah. If you go into the Discovery, they do have this dog package. That's right. They have a what is it? A spill-proof flooring, a spill-proof bowl, some kind of spray off, so you can literally clean your animal before they get in. It also has the stairs. They're doing some really crazy things with Range Rover to bring the animals into their lineup. How much do Range Rover oil changes ultimately cost? I would say anywhere from it. Usually they go by different intervals with theirs, so it usually packages things with it. So sorry, I have two chows. They get excited. It wouldn't just add an oil change, but if you were just to do an oil change, anywhere from $250 to $500. The main thing with Range Rovers and any high-end vehicle is the oil is a lot more expensive than a traditional everyday vehicle. So like I actually talked with Maserati for a little while this week about different services, just to answer different questions on the channel. And they were saying just the ZF automatic transmission, the oil itself is about $90 a quart, and you typically need 8 quarts. And then the labor typically is another $300-400. So you add the 8 to 9 quarts, plus you got the hours, it ends up being thousands of dollars just for a simple maintenance. Highlander Platinum or QX60? That's a tough one. I mean, the QX60 is going to have better interior, and it's going to be softer. The ride is going to be a little bit softer with Toyota, because Infinity kind of has a little bit more of a bump to it, a little bit more sporty, unless you get like a smaller wheel setup. I like Infinity because you get a better warranty. I dislike that the new one is a Turbo 4, so I would say get a 24 model if you're wanting the naturally aspirated V6 and the longevity. Otherwise, that's a tough one because you're both right at the same pricing with the two vehicles. I mean, what would you go? I would go Infinity, yeah. Because then it's also the service too. So you can schedule things like dropping off your vehicle and getting a loaner for an oil change. Toyota doesn't usually give you those extra perks. You have to go up to Lexus to get them. Does the regular Range Rover pick up speed? Yes, they're fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge box on wheels. So even with a smaller engine, it still feels very fast. Like it's surprising. It's not going to be fast like a Cybertruck, where you go, or a Mercedes AMG electric vehicle.
The EQS.
Yeah, the EQS that we did. Those are crazy fast. So the Pathfinder opposed to an Infinity is going to only be maybe $7,000 difference in price. So that's why I would say go Infinity, because you're getting a premium vehicle, which means you'll get an extra year warranty, better service. If I was looking at Nissan to Toyota, I don't know. I like the Highlander, so I would probably consider the Highlander. I just don't like the Turbo 4. I mean, as time is progressing, hopefully the vehicle stays. And I know it's not the Grand Highlander. I'm just saying, like, I would prefer the 6-cylinder that they used to have, but you do have a lot more power, and most of the capabilities people don't typically use. I was never really a huge fan of the Cybertruck. You? I think you kind of like. I like the idea of the Cybertruck. I just think that it was a little bit overrated. I mean, I was talking about it this week actually, where people were paying north of 200,000. Now you can get those cars under $100,000, and it's just about a year old. So imagine the depreciation that vehicle has went through. I mean, that's over 100% depreciation. That itself is crazy. Let me just move my dog out of the way. She gets a little here, so you guys can see her. Oh, there you go. Good girl. Range Rover for that price. Yeah, we have a couple of them. They love us to death. That's the problem. Every time I do live stream, sometimes what I do last week is I had them outside, and then she got out running, literally running the whole neighborhood. So I was trying to use my phone, but I turned my phone off on the live stream, and ultimately, finally, some of the family came downstairs, and I said, "Go get them. She's running," because they're pretty crazy. But I'll show you our couple of dogs real quick so you guys can see them. Phoenix. So we got a boy and a girl. And we're going through a lot of renovation right now. So hopefully we'll have the house done soon, so that way you guys can see the office. The dogs, they are 3-4 years old, or 4 or 5 years old. Pretty close. Do you think the 2025 Highlander ESX all-wheel drive? I like it. I mean, you get that sporty style. It's pretty good trim too, so you're getting a lot of features. Pricing isn't too bad. I would recommend that. The Platinum will get the chrome wheels. The XSE, I think, looks a little bit more sporty, but ultimately, if you want all the features, you go to the Platinum trim. The Q5, I don't know if I saw any. I'm going to Audi on Wednesday, so I will check and see what they have. I have like 4 or 5 different teams that I work with now. We were trying to get Alfa Romeo, and ultimately Alfa Romeo is dropping their trims to 2 vehicles, and the dealership that we work with and the team, they're no longer going to be doing Alfa Romeo. So I don't know if we're going to start sourcing to see if we can find another one, but because they only have 2 vehicles, I mean, let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see Alfa Romeo, then we'll keep working to bring them to the channel. But ultimately, some of the dealerships are starting to drop them, in which they gave up their contracts. I was kind of shocked to hear that. And I heard that this week when I went to talk to the dealership and the different teams, which we made new arrangements to review those vehicles, and ultimately they no longer sell them. Lots of seller. Yeah, I would definitely say so. Well, we're going to wrap up the live stream for this week. And next week, we're going to try to go to BMW to do the live stream. A lot of the dealerships are starting to say that we have the green light to do it, in which they actually give us a little bit of a private room to do so. And you guys can see some of the things that we do. Hopefully, we'll get the access because of the holidays. We may not be able to. It'll be BMW of Wesley Chapel. We will post it on the community tab so that way you guys can see. And you guys are looking at the X5. Will be whatever vehicles they have. I mean, sometimes they sell vehicles quite a bit. But like we were saying, the channel memberships, hopefully I'll have everything done this week, and then they'll go through the YouTube check to make sure everything's good. And we will keep you guys posted with everything through the community tab. Have a great morning, guys. We really appreciate everybody coming out, and we will see you guys next week.